Boom! What's up? Good morning, everyone. So yesterday I actually asked, well, not really asked, but I kind of insinuated that I was planning to go do a live, but I do not have a topic. So, well, luckily for me, a good friend of mine, Nick Alvarez, sent me a topic, and it's about trauma bonds. And for those of you who don't know what trauma bonds are basically relationships that start out awesome, but end up becoming toxic down the line because you know when it comes to relationships, sometimes what we sometimes the easy part is starting the relationship. Okay, going through um, going through it is actually the hard part, right? So as people start testing and trying and making stuff work, things just sort of happen that make you realize that you know what, maybe you guys are just not the right fit, right? And for most people, they don't even have the. Let me just fix up my camera over here. And for most people, they don't even actually have the awareness to be able to realize that, oh man, this sort of relationship isn't working. um, and it's crazy. So what usually happens with relationships is that, well, sometimes two broken people end up meeting each other, and then at some point, you know, band-aid the wounds or band-aid the holes, and suddenly find themselves that the overflow hurts them both, right? So it's a really crazy thing to think about. And for what's the word I'm looking for a lot of people, it's causing a lot of pain. Now, thinking about this, I read about this a bit, about trauma bonds a bit before going live, and thinking about it. Um, has this ever happened in my life, or the better question is, has at some point in my life I became, or I was the cause of pain towards others? And honestly, the answer is yes, right? So more than having the relationship, more than having um the people I'm in a relationship with. It, when I say relationship, again, I don't just mean romantic relationships, right? This could also happen with parenting. This could also happen with best friends. This could also happen between um, brothers, siblings, etc. Okay, so it's a whole crazy dynamic because um, sometimes our parents have us, and they're not ready to be parents, and they're only raising us in the capacity that they know how, right? However, sometimes, if you come to realize that sometimes the shortcomings of the parents get pushed onto you. Or something very interesting is that um, a good chunk of my life, I actually blamed my parents for having to force me to work at an early age, right? Because, well, for those of you who don't know, I'm 25. I run my own business. But if only I had this belief before that if only um, they made better choices, then I would not have to work so hard so young. And then I come to realize that, ah, you know what? That doesn't really make sense, because again, they were only living with the awareness that they had at the time, right? It wasn't a nice thing to push through. Okay, it was unreasonable for me to think like that, right? And sometimes I ask myself, okay, where else in my relationship does this happen? So um I see this concept not I see this concept as a more naturally occurring theme when you interact with people, right? It's not just a romantic thing. Um, in some way or form, once you form a relationship with somebody else, you at some point actually take off some of your armor and leave yourself vulnerable um, towards the opinion, thoughts, and what's what we're looking for opinions, thoughts, and basically the decisions of another person. You're basically putting yourself out there. Now, what's important to know though is that despite the fact that, and thanks for the comment, he said, special shout out. Despite the fact that you do leave yourself vulnerable when it comes to relationships, it doesn't necessarily mean that other people are hurting you. Okay, because what has to happen instead of like a lot of people go into relationships thinking that I'm going into this relationship so that I get supported and I grow, right? So both, and again, it's not just romantic. Okay, if you decide to find your own coach or mentor, you go into that relationship thinking that, hey, this is the person that's gonna help bring me to the next level. But what would happen? What's gonna happen next if the person you thought would help you is actually the person that what's what I'm looking for is actually the person that would that would hurt your self-esteem the most, because somehow he doesn't agree with the way he or she doesn't agree with the way you do things, right? So powering through um sorry powering through trauma bonds is really a process of you just um it's really just a process of you setting yourself up in such a way where even the opinions or even okay it's a way for you to position yourself in a way where the reactions of outside source, okay, where you are still capable of standing firm with your own personal beliefs and self-esteem despite the outside source that's telling you otherwise, right? So it's actually building yourself up in such a way where, yes, you can now finally go into this relationship. You can finally don off this armor, but at the same time, you're also someone who's capable of moving forward, even if things don't work out. You have to put yourself in a situation where you're here in this relationship to grow into something. Okay, you're not here to take, but you're here to give, and in turn um, grow into something, that transcends whatever you're trying to become. Now, in my case, how do I do this in my personal life? In each of my relationships, as every time one ends, I always go into one with intention. Okay, so before looking for a partner, or that includes business, that includes relationships. Okay, before looking for a new business partner, a new employee, a new romantic partner, I would always set out an intention to the universe. Okay, what am I supposed to learn now? Okay, so that I can go to the next level. Now, in the most recent in my most recent breakup with an ex of mine, I decided that for me to go into the next relationship, I would actually learn to be able to just give and not expect anything in return. Okay, so that's the intention that I'm doing. Kasi, okay, sige. Um, why is that so? Mainly because I want to kill the ego. I wanted to kill an ego inside of me that 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 or not necessarily kill but overcome. You can also think of it like that, right? Overcome an ego inside of me where if I if I go the extra mile, I'm expecting something in return, right? And thank you, Sir Gerald. Wow, I can see you now. Hindi na, no, hindi na Facebook user. Thank you for logging in. So yun. So, right? So you put yourself out there with the intention of doing that, right? So this time, regardless of whatever happens, regardless of the consequence, okay, put yourself out there. And then what if it doesn't work out? It doesn't matter. Okay? Because for me, so long as I do, so long as I do that, right? Um, I learn something, I ascend, and it's time for me to move on to something else, right? So that's one thing. Next is seeing another thing that you can actually do to power to trauma bonds is just being in a space of love, right? Which I mentioned briefly earlier. So what does that look like? Okay, if and we just passed Holy Week, right? Um, a very good example of love for some people, I would say a mother's love, right? But some people have bad mothers. Mine was amazing, but some people don't have the same experience. I would also say a father's love, but again, same thing. A teacher's love, maybe a stranger giving you something that you didn't ask for, right? But if ironically speaking, we just finished Holy Week, and if we were gonna talk about love, then it's Christ, right? He died on the cross for people, and I'm saying this as someone who is not religious. Um, he died for our sins. Um, he died on the cross for our sins, for people he he hasn't met yet, both in the past and in the future, and it's crazy, you know. Um, that's an act of sacrifice that very few people on earth can do. And I'm not saying you do something extreme and die for somebody you don't know. But what I am saying is that um, live life in such a way where you just do good and focus on the good, that you can live or die proudly, right? So that's another thing that you can actually do to power through, because all of this, right? all of the all of the feedback, all of the external um, experience that you're gonna get from other people, from your father, from your mother, from your coworkers, your boss, your relationships, all of that is basically things that you cannot control. You have no control over whatever anyone else thinks about, even the criticism that you are gonna get as you put yourself out there. But what matters is, if at the end of the day I do what I want to do or what I'm called to do, will I be proud of myself? Will I have no regrets? And of course, let's see. It's hard to share something that you're not used to, especially with that expectation. But yeah, it's okay. Well, what's the word I'm looking for? We all need to meditate on something. And right now, I'm honestly also meditating on the fact of, I'm also right now I'm also meditating on the fact on how do you keep your um how do you keep your your voice, your why, your reason, your being um without having to hurt somebody else, right? Because what's very evident here is that the reason why I'm meditating on that is that what's very evident is the fact that the moment that you choose to live by an ideology, okay, whether it's stoicism, whether it's Christianity, whether it's whatever ideology that, and when I say ideology, a set of beliefs that you want to live by, right? For example, I wanna stop eating meat because and I wanna go vegan, right? You will always hear negative feedback from meat. You will sometimes hear negative feedback from meat eaters, right? Choosing to eat at what store was that? Choosing to eat at um choosing to eat fried chicken in front of a vegan, right? You will always hear something negative about that. Choosing science over religion, you will always hear people say something bad about that. Um, choosing to leave your job for something that matters more to you that isn't conventional, you will always hear people flake about that. However, and that's the thing, right? Sometimes in the process of choosing yourself, you hurt somebody else. Yeah, so in the process of choosing yourself, you hurt somebody else. So, and right now, that's the thing I'm meditating on. Where is the balance there, right? So should people um jump into certainty and personal acceptance, or should people and basically embody that as they be? And honestly, I don't even find anything wrong with that, right? Or is there a way for you to do it in a way that it's nicer for people, which I find very interesting, right? So who knows? I don't, but I will get there, and who knows what's gonna happen after I get there. But that's the point, right? In terms of trauma bonds, and again, just going back to the topic, in terms of trauma bonds, pain or self-esteem issues caused by a third party or another person towards your beliefs or actions, well, the cure is basically for you to reaffirm yourself or have um, the cure is basically for you to put yourself in a situation where you love yourself and value your own opinions over somebody else, but at the same time be able to express that in a loving way, where you don't judge someone, um, be- where you don't judge someone, and at the same time you aren't a victim of their negative circumstance. So I think um, I'll end this live with that thought. Hope you guys got something.